Come put some thrift finds away with me.
I love to thrift, but I love to style, store, and organize my thrift finds even more. So let's get to it. I'm going to start out with the biggest and most awkward item, which is this vintage-inspired wrapping paper. I don't believe it's vintage because it does have a grid system, and I don't know what this plastic thing is around it, but I'm going to leave it there for now. In my craft closet, I keep all of my gifts, all of my wrapping items, and of course my wrapping paper. I try not to buy a lot of paper, but sometimes the vintage ones are too hard to pass up, like the Trolls and the Flintstones. I mean, come on. But this one looks very 60s, so I had to get it as well, and this container I got from IKEA works perfect. Moving on, let's do some trinkets. Most of the time I clean items before I get to this point, but I do need to clean these mice, so I went ahead and cleaned them and they're ready to get onto the shelf. Here's what the shelf looked like last time you saw it. I love how small they are. This one's looking up, so I feel like he needs to go down further, so he's looking up at me, and I think he's the perfect addition to that shelf. This guy looks startled to me, and his head does turn, so I'm going to turn him out and try and put him a little bit further away from the other one. I felt like next to the spoons was perfect. He looks surprised like he got caught doing something he shouldn't. Next, let's move on to the Fly Guy book I got my son. He loves these books. In fact, he wanted to read it before I put it away, so when I went to his room, he read it real quick, and then he added it to the rest of his Fly Guys. Oh, and the bag that the mice came in, I usually donate back, but we're close enough to Christmas. These work so well for Christmas gifts, especially for adding batteries to a gift or jewelry, and so I'm going to put it in the baggie. And yes, my kids know not to use those for food. Now moving on to my Beatles cassette tape. I recently got a new record player that also plays CDs and cassettes. We still have a lot of CDs, but I'm trying to rebuild my cassette collection. I think this one's actually more impressive than the one I had when I was young. And now I'm going to dig to the bottom because I'm just so excited about this piece. It was only $2. It's a Norman Rockwell. I thought the colors read fall. The man does appear to be in some type of soldier uniform, which is like an olive green, and so I love it with my fall colors. I thought this was the perfect spot, but maybe move it a little bit more to the right so the candles aren't in front of it. Beautiful. As you guys know, I've been trying to get into stitchery and occasionally cross-stitch. I'm not very good yet. I loved this list and the frame. I don't know about the 90s geese, but I have another design I might pop in there instead. So I'm going to add this to my stitchery container, and I definitely need to go through this and organize it. I've been collecting kits, Aida cloth, and hoops, and so I need to kind of inventory what I have. Moving on, I did buy this 25-cent clear thumbtack container. My girls and myself, we always go for the clear ones. As you can see, there's no clear and white hardly left, and so that was a good ad. We needed some more. And I'm going to wash that container. I'm sure I'll have a use for it sometime. Last, let's work through my vintage postcards. I got these at a garage sale. The first one is a Colorado sunset, and the 3 others are holiday. Let's put the holiday ones in the containers in the garage. I get lots of questions about how I store holiday items. We store them on a shelf in the garage in totes. Most of the totes match, but, every once in a while you'll get one like this that's clear. I'm just going through and adding all of the postcards in a way that they won't get smashed or bent into all of the totes. And I do use those IKEA bags for misshaped items like Easter baskets. They work really well. We had some friends who got married in Colorado, and every time I see these beautiful pictures, I think of them. I had sent her some vintage postcards of Colorado state parks in the past, but they were all green, and with this one being a red sunset, I thought it would be really great because she kind of has a boho vibe. So to go along with it, I'm trying to find a note card that's blank or for friendship. I landed on this coffee break one, and all of those extra envelopes came in handy because I found one that these would both fit in. We don't see these friends very often because we do live a couple of hours apart, but I definitely like to check in and let them know that I'm thinking of them. I added an extra envelope behind it just to keep it safe and a sticker to hold it close. I also made a note not to rip it open so she doesn't accidentally rip the postcard. And do I use my vintage address book? Absolutely I do. So now I put it by the door so I can take it next time I head out. Thanks for coming along.